Hello, my fellow cheapskates. I am here to talk to you about the fine art of being cheap. I have a degree in finance and I am a business owner, and I know firsthand how important it is to be mindful of what you're spending and live within your means. And by living frugally, I've been able to save more money, invest in my business, and achieve financial success. But I'm not the only one who's had to be mindful of their finances in recent times. With the ongoing economic impact on COVID-19, many Americans have been experiencing financial hardships, struggling to make ends meet. And according to a recent survey by Bankrate, 61% of Americans have experienced financial hardship in the past year, and says 72% say they have cut back on spending due to financial concerns. These are sobering statistics, and they underscore the importance of living within your means and being mindful of your spending. But it's not just about financial security. Studies have even found that people who live frugally tend to be happier and less stressed than those who spend a lot of money. In fact, a study by Time found that people who prioritize experiences over material possessions tend to be happier overall. So in this video, I want to share my favorite frugal living tips with you and show you how you can live more fulfilling life while spending less. So let's get started. Now let's talk about one of the most important aspects of frugal living, budgeting. Creating a budget is essential for managing both your personal and business finances, and it allows you to track your expenses, identify areas that you can cut back, and make sure that you're on track to achieve your financial goals. So how can you create an effective budget? Well, first we gotta track your expenses. So you can do this by keeping your receipts and using budgeting apps such as Mint, or simply writing down your expenses in a notebook. Once you know where your money is going, you can start to find ways to cut back unnecessary expenses. For example, the average American spends over $7,000 per year on groceries and dining out. By planning your meals and buying in bulk and eating at home, you can save a significant amount of money. Another way to save money is by using public transportation instead of your personal vehicle, and of course only if it's available to you. But according to a recent study by the American Public Transportation Association, households that use public transportation can save an average of $9,000 per year. And don't forget to negotiate with service providers to get the best rates. According to a survey by American Consumer Credit Counseling, 82% of Americans believe that they are spending too much on their monthly bills, and by negotiating with service providers and finding ways to reduce expenses, it's possible to save hundreds of dollars every year. Unfortunately, not everyone is budgeting effectively. According to a survey by Bankrate, 59% of Americans don't even have a budget, which makes it super difficult to manage expenses and personal finances effectively. So don't let yourself fall short in this category and start tracking those expenses and creating a budget. But now we need to talk about managing debt. Now, debt can be a scary topic for a lot of people, but the truth is, it's something that affects many of us. In fact, according to the Federal Reserve, the average credit card debt per household in the US is a staggering $6,849, and the average American has 4 credit cards. But here's the thing, managing debt doesn't have to be scary or overwhelming. In fact, with a little bit of knowledge and a lot of discipline, you can get your debt under control and start living the life that you'd want. One of my top tips for managing debt is to pay off those high-bearing interest accounts first. This means focusing on debts with high interest rates such as credit cards before moving on to other debts. By doing this, you can save a significant amount of money on just not paying interest over time. Now, I know that paying off high interest debt can be challenging, especially if you have multiple debts on different interest rates. But remember, every little bit counts. Even if you can only afford to pay an extra $50 or $100 every month, that's still progress. And over time, those extra debts will add up, and you'll see your debt balances start to shrink, which is a great feeling. But another strategy that can help you pay off those high interest debts is to negotiate with creditors to reduce interest rates. Many credit card companies are willing to work with you if you're struggling to make payments, so don't be afraid to pick up the phone and just ask for help. Finally, it's important to remember that consequences of not managing debt can be severe. In fact, 33% of Americans say that debt has negatively impacted their mental health. So if you're struggling with debt, know that you're not alone, and there are resources and strategies available to you to get you back on the right track. Remember, stay frugal, stay focused, stay on top of your finances. And speaking of crazy numbers, did you know that the household debt rose to $16 trillion in Q4 2022? Yeah, that's a huge number. So let's work together to get that number down and create a more financially secure future for ourselves and our families. And the next topic is all about utilities and other expenses. I'm gonna go share my favorite strategies that can help you reduce your utility bills and save some money on other expenses. First, let's talk utilities. Did you know that a small change in your energy usage can save you hundreds of dollars per year? Yes, in fact, it is true. According to the energy.gov, turning off your lights or lowering your thermostat can significantly reduce your energy bill. So start practicing energy habits like turning off those lights and unplugging those appliances when not in use. and investing in energy efficient appliances. In addition to saving on your utilities, there are other ways you can reduce your expenses. For example, try reducing your transportation costs by carpooling, biking, or walking to work and running errands. This will benefit your health, but it'll also benefit the environment. Little double whammy. Another area you can save money is by negotiating with those service providers again. Call your internet, phone, cable providers and try to negotiate a better deal. You may be surprised on how much you can save by just asking for a lower rate. Now, we gotta talk some numbers. The U.S. Energy Information Administration reports that the average U.S. household spends $1,340 per year on electricity and natural gas. By implementing these energy saving strategies, you can save up to 25% a year. That's more than $300 per year. Now imagine what you can do with an extra $300. So those are my tips on saving on utilities and expenses. Remember, small changes can make a big difference in your finances. I know this was a quick one, but thanks for watching. I hope you found these frugal tips helpful. Remember, living within your means and being mindful of your spending can not only help you achieve financial success, but it can also lead to a happier, less stressful life. So don't forget to budget, manage your debt, and find ways to save on expenses like utilities and groceries. And if you're struggling with debt or financial hardship, I know that you're not alone and there are resources to help. So thanks again, and I'll see you in the next video.